everyone. Welcome to this How to Tame Your Insatiable Sweet Tooth session with Kat Dillon. My name is Elise and I'm on the Access Elite team that has brought this event to you today. For those of you who aren't familiar, Access Elite is a health and wellness company that provides on-demand wellness content, same-day prescription delivery, and facilitates live virtual events such as these that you can tune into every day, as well as much more. We are so glad that we can facilitate this event and bring a bit of positivity and connection to your day. So I just want to thank you for being here. And with that, I am thrilled to introduce our guest today. Kat Dillon is a registered holistic nutritionist, and she is going to be leading our session today. Kat?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I invite you to my kitchen here. This is where I basically live. I do a lot of my work in here, along with not only cooking. I tend to gravitate towards this area for some reason. It's just an easy place to keep an eye on my dogs and life in general. So thank you for coming. So, before I start, I'll tell you a little bit more about me. I am a chef as well. I got into nutrition because I love to cook. And I started studying nutrition at the collegiate level in San Francisco at SF State University years ago, and realizing that my degree was sort of becoming obsolete. I decided to go a little bit deeper, and I got coverage and education in holistic nutrition, which I absolutely adore, and I practice throughout today, and I have for the last 8 years. I also have chef credentials from Canada. I went to school in Canada and studied both pastry and savory cooking, French traditional, technical, beautiful cooking. And but I really honestly, use a lot of these healthy, fresh ingredients and make all types of foods in general. But my heart goes to is really strong around local, fresh, healthy ingredients. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. So we're going to start by talking about cravings and why you might have them right now, what you can do about that. And cravings are not a bad thing. It's our body telling us that something's off, okay? And then I go through a few ingredients that are my favorite ingredients to use in my kitchen. That really do help with cravings, and maybe some tips on maybe non-food things that you might not think of when it comes to cravings, okay? And then we're going to go through the recipes. And beautiful thing about these recipes is that, I was just telling Elise here, these recipes are guides, but you literally do not even need to know the measurements, okay? So like literally your kids could do this with you. You could say, hey, Joe or Sally, here's your ingredients, you go and make these truffles or whatever I'm gonna show you how to make, okay? So number one, okay, why do we have sweet tooth? Why do we have sweet teeth? Because hopefully you don't have just one tooth left. You might if you're eating a lot of sugar, right? But why do we have these sweet teeth? Well, the reason is there's probably some sort of metabolic chaos. And why do we have that? Well, we have that for many reasons. We might be eating too many carbohydrates, too many refined, processed, starchy carbs. So what do we do about that? Well, if you're feeling like you have this addiction to starchy carbs, you want to just say, hey, where can I still consume these carbohydrates, but cut down and limit, or rather get rid of the processed carbs. So what are the processed carbs? The processed carbs are going to be flours, pastas. I know you're going to hate me about the pasta, but yes, it is a refined carbohydrate. Things like muffins, scones, all of the things that are, if you think about processing, it's like milling. It's adding more sugar. It's adding preservatives. It's adding inflammatory oils, cheap refined oils, right? Because generally processed foods aren't processed because they want to make them more expensive and good for you. Some of them are, but most of them are to make them cheap and accessible to everybody, okay? So with those things that really we want to think about is those things are actually accentuating carbohydrate cravings. They're also disrupting our gut microbiome. So our guts actually our microbiology in our guts are craving to be fed, Okay, also thinking about how they can increase the yeast overgrowth. Now, don't get me wrong, a little bit of sweet here and there every so often for a treat, not a cheat. Please don't say that word, cheat. But if you're at a party or a gathering where it's a special occasion, fantastic. Have your chocolate cake or whatever you love. It's great. Enjoy life. But on a daily, weekly, regular basis, probably not a great idea. The other thing about why you might be craving things is maybe a balance of your macronutrients isn't right. So what are macronutrients? Your proteins, fats, and carbs. So when we think about carbs, we want to think about super high fiber carbs, right? Because when you have fiber in those carbs, it's going to slow down the response of carbohydrate being turned into sugar in your body. Okay, so those carbohydrates are things like winter squash, purple potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, those types of things. Small amounts of grains that are non-gluten, right? Like quinoa, wild rice, brown rice, basmati, millet, those types of things. Gluten-free oatmeal. For some people, that can be great. If you're metabolically out of it, where let's say you are just insulin resistant or diabetic, not a great thing for us, right? If that's the case. The other thing is the other ingredient, legumes like black beans, chickpeas, red beans. Those can be very useful. Again, very moderate if you are diabetic. So those are the types of carbohydrates. Now, of course, we want plenty on the plate of colorful, non-starchy vegetables. Those would be the vegetables that grow above the ground, right? So that they're super low starch. Does not contribute or do not contribute to any kind of blood sugar response. And why is that? Because of the fiber. Okay. The other thing, and I would say first and foremost, I'm going to tell you honestly, you could be eating so healthfully, and if your sleep is not quality, you're going to have cravings. So number one on your list, I really would not hesitate to say number one and place that at the top of your list, is to get your sleep hygiene in order. Super important. I see it all the time. I mean, think about it. You know how you have like a real lousy night of sleep? Are you really craving salmon and kale and broccoli? Right? You're not. Or maybe you are, but you also want more. You're insatiable. Can I get an amen there? Okay. So that's really great. Okay. So a lot of people ask me about sweeteners. Okay. Now, number one, these sweeteners are really to be used in moderation. Now, we do have low glycemic sweeteners like coconut sugar, things like maple syrup, those types of things. But you really, hold on for a second. You really want to be careful, because any type of sweetener, be it maple syrup, coconut, or even monk fruit and stevia, if we overuse them, we're not telling our brains anything about decreasing the desire for sweetness. So you're going to keep on keeping on. You're going to keep on needing that sweetener. So use these moderately and use them as a bridge to get where you are to where you want to be. And again, it's not about avoiding all sweeteners, right? And like, you don't want to have even a sweet potato. It's not about that, right? We don't need to be dogmatic or super highly controlled or worry so much about having any kind of carbohydrate. Okay, so what are the sweeteners that I prefer? Well, I actually prefer, one of my most favorites is this Yacon Syrup. I know it's reversed here. You can't see it. We're not on mirror here. But Yacon Syrup is a natural sweetener. It's actually made from a tuber in South America. And it's great. It's not super sweet, but it gives you just that hint of sweetness. I love it. The beautiful thing about it is it's high in resistant fiber. So resistant fiber is also high in things like green bananas. It's also high in certain unripe fruits. Now, the reason why resistant fiber is so great is because it's actually food for good bacteria in your gut. Fabulous stuff, because what does that do? Well, it influences your gut microbiome. It's actually a beneficial thing for cravings and the immune system. So I love this Yacon. It kind of reminds me of agave. Do you remember agave? We were using it like decades ago. Everybody thought it was like the darling of sweeteners. Problem, it doesn't raise our blood sugar, but guess what it does? It raises our insulin levels. So yeah, it was low glycemic, but it actually raises our insulin levels. So don't use that crap. Use this stuff. It's hard to find, but you can find it on the Young Living's website, and also on Amazon, even though I don't like using Amazon for like supplements or fruit or things like this, but sometimes you'll have to. So yeah, try the Young Living. I'm actually a representative of Young Living. You can always call me for that. Okay, so that's one sweetener. The other one is monk fruit. Love monk fruit. However, you want to be careful that you get the monk fruit that's 100% monk fruit and not cut with erythritol. Okay, I don't have a problem with erythritol, but there are some people that have gut issues and that they just can't tolerate the erythritol. It's a sugar alcohol, so your body does not break it down. It's not metabolized, okay? So there's no effect on your blood sugar. So that's good, but some people are sensitive. Another one, of course, stevia. And stevia I love, it's very natural. You can get the alcohol-free one. You can buy the plant at your local nursery and just use it like that. It's delicious. From time to time in the summer, we'll have, I'll make margaritas with no sugar and actually pound those stevia leaves along with mint and jalapeno. And I'll use just a teeny bit of stevia and make my simple syrup like that. And there's no sugar in it. It's fabulous. Of course, limit those. You don't want to have too many of those for sure. So there's also some things like allulose. Again, very similar. It's not broken down in your body. And some people are using xylitol. Xylitol is all right. There's actually some benefits to using xylitol, but ultimately I like to keep it simple and use these two, stevia and monk fruit, and the Yacon for third. Okay, it really depends on what I'm doing. All right, we're gonna get to the cooking, 1 second. Two other things are my favorites, okay? So using cinnamon, because cinnamon actually lowers our blood sugar, would you believe it? So actually, if you're using some cinnamon with something else, you're gonna actually lower your blood sugar response to it. Another thing that actually is a beautiful thing, vanilla, real vanilla. Okay, you can buy the vanilla bean and pound that, it's delicious. And what I mean by that, it's the long bean, very expensive little bean, and you scrape out the vanilla bean, delicious. And the beautiful thing about that is that vanilla actually ups your serotonin in your gut. So it also interferes with cravings. And very naturally sweet. Okay, let's get to this. I've got 4 things that I'm going to talk to you about. Again, you're going to have the notes for this, and you're going to have the recipes in the little guide. But let's start with the first one that is going to take a little bit of time because we're going to have to freeze some of these things. It's not going to be ice cream, but you're going to have to freeze. You'll see when I go. So what I'm going to be using as my little props here are these little, you've probably seen these at like art stores, the silicone cups. You can get these on Amazon, everywhere. You can get them really little, tiny ones. You can get them shaped, you know, like little, like that, but they're really fun. All right, so we're gonna start with this little chocolate tahini bite, which is fabulous. I'm gonna just hop over to my stove and come back. Okay, so I've already taken the liberty here of making my chocolate mixture, and I did it over a bain-marie, which is just a water bath, hot water bath. It's a bain-marie, okay? So what I did, you never wanna put chocolate over a hot flame. It just won't, it won't work. It'll be too hot. You also never wanna get water in your chocolate because it will interfere with the chocolateness. So what I've done here is I've melted the chocolate, added 0 sugar. You're welcome to add a little stevia if you wish. I kind of like my chocolate really bitter. I told you I was going to go through some ingredients, and I'll kind of go through the rest of the ingredients as I go. But I want to use a minimum of 85% total cacao mass for my chocolate. And when I eat that, like if I buy a bar, I want to have 85% minimum. You can go up to 100, right? You can also find the cacao nibs, which are fabulous. I love those. Cacao nibs are like these little gravel-like kind of bits that you can add to smoothies and parfaits and beautiful things like that. They're very crunchy, and those are really bitter. Now, one thing I want to tell you is, I think I already mentioned, is that bitter actually combats those cravings. So eat more bitter. And how do you do that? Bitter chocolate, bitter greens, sour tart things like sour tart berries. One of the things that I give clients is access to using the pickled plum, umeboshi. It's a Japanese pickled plum. And just a teaspoon of that when you have a craving will just knock it right out. Also brushing your teeth will too. So what I'm gonna do here, and I told you, the measurements for all of these recipes are gonna be in your notes. But I've got my chocolate. I'm just gonna add a little bit of coconut oil. This is a really good brand, by the way. It's Dr. Bronner's. So I'm gonna add a touch of coconut. That's gonna kind of provide a little bit of the sheen, right? So you got the chocolate. It's already sheened out with that coconut oil. And again, you can use your sweetener. Now, all I'm gonna do is I'm going to pour just half of it into my mold, just like that. So I'll show you. I'm gonna pour a little bit, like that. And all I'm gonna do after that is freeze it, okay? So, I'll show you what it looks like. Super easy is that I've poured half, like that, okay? So I'm just gonna freeze it behind me. And that's gonna take about 5 minutes. Super easy, 5 minutes, I'm just gonna wait. As we wait, I'm gonna show you the rest. So, another thing that has to be frozen are the frozen blueberries. So I take my blueberries, like this, just regular organic blueberries, and plain Greek yogurt, okay? You're not gonna believe how easy this is. I'm going to stir the blueberries into the yogurt, and I'm going to put them on trays and freeze them. Okay, can you tell me if your 5-year-old can do that? I think they can. So that is going to be our frozen blueberry. You can do that with raspberries, salmon berries, awala berries, not that they have them here, boysenberries, you name it. So that's that. Now, this is my third, and you're gonna love this. So we're making truffles with coconut. And I've just heated up my coconut here. Oh, this stuff is amazing. So this is just coconut butter. It's not coconut oil. There's a little bit of coconut oil inside this jar on the top. So it's coconut butter. You do not want to use this to cook with. It won't melt all the way. So this is actually the flesh of the coconut along with the fiber and a little bit of the protein from that coconut. So it's in a jar, so you have to, it's very solid. And when it's cold, or when it's, you know, under, let's say 70, 75, it will solidify. So what you need to do is put it in a bread warmer, a warming bin, a double boil, or whatever you want. And then it will pour, it'll be liquid, okay? So all I've done here is I have mixed this beauty with my favorite matcha. Matcha's ceremonial green tea. It's in a powder. It's one of my favorite things in the whole entire world. This is a brand called Matcha Love, but I actually prefer the dough matcha brand. This is still really good though. And you can drink that. I can do another class about matcha. We'll definitely have to enroll you in that one. But this, all I'm gonna do is I just mixed together the coconut mana with the matcha. That's it. The brilliant thing about matcha is that it has an amino acid in it called L-theanine, which can help with calm states of alertness, focus. It regenerates your brain. It also has ECGC, which stimulates your metabolism. I mean, look at the Japanese, right? I mean, that says the whole thing. So all we want to do here is, you know, you can have a contrast texture And what I like to do is put cacao nibs in here. You can do that. You can put nuts. What would really be beautiful is pistachios, right? Because of the green. But I do like a contrast color, so that's why I use the cacao nibs. So all I'm going to do is pour that into one of my little squares and circles here. Again, feel free to add stevia or monk fruit, but I'm going to tell you, I wish you guys were here right now, because when I do this for my clients at where I work, they go crazy. They can't believe that something could taste so good without any sweetener at all. It's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to freeze this up. Like magic, you guys. Everything's going to be ready, and you'll virtually taste it with me. Okay, now the other thing is, we can do the same recipe with something like another beautiful ingredient that I love to use, either acai powder or something very related, which is super rich in antioxidants, maqui berry. I love maqui berry. Tons of vitamin C, tons of flavor, and the pigment here, blues and purples, as we talked about on the last class, using anything blue and purple is actually super stimulatory for the brain, for the eyes, for neuronal function, really for anybody that wants to optimize their brain health. Okay, who doesn't want to optimize their brain health, right? Okay, so I've just mixed it all up. Again, add sweetener if you wish, don't need it. So I'm gonna just pour that into these little dots that I have, and I'm going to freeze those. Okay, now it's time. You're hanging, guys. I've got my frozen half layer of the chocolate. Now, what I've done is I've taken some tahini and protein powder. No sweetener, don't need it. And I've already made a little dough, like that. It's so delicious. My dogs are actually like sniffing this and wanting to get out of their crate. And it's so funny because when I make anything with raw coconut, with the cacao or the coconut butter in the morning, literally I'll unscrew the bottle and they know that sound and they come running downstairs because they want to eat it. And it's super healthy for dogs in very small amounts. All right, so remember these little dough balls. All I'm going to do is pick them apart and stuff the middle of the little truffle with it. See that? Now I take the chocolate again, and I pour the rest on top. Oh gosh, this is so easy, isn't it? There you go. Like that. Oh, I was a little sloppy there, but you can see that I put it on the top half. It goes back in the freezer. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. Because then it'll take a little less time if I clean this up. There we go. All right, goes back into the freezer. Take 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll be done with it. Okay, how are you guys doing? Are you hungry? Great. All right. So we've got the ideas about why we want to lower our sugar content, how we can supplement our diets with more fiber, with less of the carbohydrates, with more quality proteins and fat. Now, the types of fat, when we do have cravings, it's usually telling us that something's off. Like if you find it difficult to go between meals for at least 4 hours, it's usually telling you that maybe what you ate before wasn't up to par for your particular metabolism. So what can you do? You can try saying, all right, well, maybe I need a little bit more protein. See what happens. Add a little bit more protein. Keep everything else constant. Maybe you didn't have enough fat. You can do the same thing. Stick with just adding fat, right? So those are some of the things. Also adding fiber, especially in that morning meal, some good protein and some super healthy fiber from chia, flax, hemp seed, things like that can really help you with a little bit more staying power. All right, so we're gonna finish off with plating all of this stuff, okay? So, you know, I know that we're just kind of stuck, but you can make this, we're not stuck, but we're sort of at home. We're not really entertaining as much as we do, but we can use this to entertain our families and ourselves. Even when you're eating by yourself, it's really nice to have color and really nice plating skills for your own self, okay? So I'm gonna use this little platter here to make everything look really pretty. So I'm gonna go and grab the things that we made, okay? So I'm gonna pop these out because they're ready to go. So these are the matcha. Okay, I'm putting these on the plate. All right, and then the acai, beautiful. Oh, sorry, not acai, the maqui berry. Put that on there too. I'm gonna grab the blueberries, and I'm like crossing my fingers that chocolate's gonna be ready soon. Almost for that chocolate. I think it'll be ready in about a minute or so. Got my little, aren't these cute? Right? Gotta remember, you gotta eat these right when they're just out of the freezer. Otherwise they'll just melt. They're not like the real yogurt covered berry or blueberries or chocolate covered raisins at the market that you get. Let's see. Oh, but the texture is right on. Okay, so I got these. I'm gonna garnish it a bit. I always like to garnish with sliced fruit, like maybe slicing up a couple berries. Just so you know, when you go to restaurants and you get like a dessert plate and it has like sliced berries, restaurants do not use, most restaurants do not use organic fruit. And most restaurants, I'll tell you, having been a chef, they don't wash their fruit, okay? Just so you know. So I'm gonna put these little lovely blue raspberries on the plate for contrast and adornment. I'm gonna keep it simple. All right, so now I'm ready to overturn those beautiful chocolates. I'm sure you guys are just like really sad that you're not here. Okay, let me grab those chocolates. I'm gonna go very slowly because I'm just waiting for them to solidify. And they're ready. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, so pretty. Look how perfect. Are these not the cutest little things? Oh my gosh. Okay. So good. So sad that you're not here with me. Okay. There we go. So simple. Okay, so I'm going to show you what this looks like and what you could have if you were here. So here is your beautiful plate. You see that? All right, can we get a thumbs up? What you made, you've done it. Awesome. Catherine, okay, now I'm gonna bite one of these. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, so get a little protein and healthy fat and zero sugar. You guys do not need any more sugar anymore. That's it. So it's 12:30 and it's time for lunch. I hope you learned something. Anybody have a comment, question? And I bet you your kids want to do this. Catherine?
I do have a question. So
Yeah.
how many can we eat? How many calories in this?
Well, you know what? It's funny because I get that question all the time. And that's an example. And I'm not saying you're bad. Honestly, we're all like this. We want to know intellectually the answer to that question. Food is not intellectual, right? I mean, it's nice to know, like, hey, that is not good for me, or that is, you know, maybe to kind of like find out how it feels in your body and then make a mental note of it. But you know, feel it out. You know, I mean, having a whole plate of this is probably not balanced for a meal, right? But, you know, to answer your question, you know, to be serious about it, you know, like 2 or 3, if they're small. Now, if you make like huge things, they're probably going to, you know, be a little bit too much. But there's nothing harmful in it for you. It's just that, you know, that overly, to me, because I don't really eat sugar, this is like perfect. It's sweet enough. And that's like, to me, like eating sugar, even though there's no sugar in it. So I hope that answers your question. You know, even if something's really good for you, overeating it is kind of like the other side of it.
Great.
In there, I do it. I still do it sometimes. I still overeat because something's really good. And then I pay the price. I'm like, and then I don't do it for a while. But we're human. If something's good, you know, sometimes it's difficult. My husband never goes for seconds. And I'm like, don't you want any more? And I will. And then but most of the time, if I eat too much, I realize, I don't beat myself up about it. I just realize and make a mental note. I overate and then I know I shouldn't, because, you know, it's not that you're bad, but it's just not a good habit because it's not healthy for our guts. Not about weight, not about this. It's really not a healthy thing for us. We want to be able to preserve those valuable enzymes and the hydrochloric acid for other things. So enjoy it. I'm going to give this to my hubby and have him help me eat this. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat.
Thank you so much, Kat. That looks amazing, and I cannot wait to try to make those myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely. Well, and I would love the matcha session as well.
Oh, so fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. If you love this session, please stay tuned to accesselitenow.com/events. And I'm just going to put that in the chat really quick. And we hope that we can get Kat on the schedule again soon. This was such a great session. And of course, if you love this session, you can book your private sessions with Kat through the Access Elite app.
And can I mention one more thing? I have a summit that's on right now called the Brain, Heart, Gut Summit. You can get on it by going to innerwisdomeating.com. It's a free summit that everybody can learn from. And there's 23 experts that are also on it and willing to give you guys all some extra help on anything related to total body health.
That was innerwisdomeating.com.
That's right.
Okay. I'm going to put that in the chat too. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kat. This was great. And thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you all have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.